Yo, what's going on, everybody? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. We are still in Indianapolis for the 2025 NFL Combine live from Radio Row here, and we've got breaking news surrounding the Giants. We got to talk about Matt Stafford going back to the Los Angeles Rams. Adam Schefter reporting the New York Giants are seriously in on Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to tell you what I have heard about the Giants' next plan at the QB spot. That's why you subscribe to the channel, so go down right now and hit that big red sub button. Breaking news, Matthew Stafford is returning to the Los Angeles Rams. We have been following this story for quite some time. The Giants were 100% interested. The Raiders were also interested, but at the end of the day has to end for the trade rumors. And Matthew Stafford, he is going to put pen to paper to return to the Los Angeles Rams with a mega money extension. I'll say this. The Giants did not acquire Matthew Stafford because of a lack of effort. They were absolutely interested. They were in on the idea. So much so, they were willing to pay him $90 million guaranteed dollars or all the way up to $100 million guaranteed dollars for him to become the next quarterback for this organization. So it's not for a lack of trying and a lack of not willing to give up the draft assets to go out and do so. Whether you think it was smart to pursue Matthew Stafford, whether you think it was smart to trade for him and then give him a mega money extension, it doesn't matter at this point. The Giants, they thought it was, and they were willing to do whatever it takes to get a deal done. Jordan Schultz, just outside of Starbucks, is saying this. The Raiders and Giants made aggressive financial offers to Matthew Stafford, including multi-year deals with significant guarantees, while the Rams' offer will fall short of those figures. So Stafford actually returns to the Rams with less money on the table from the New York Football Giant. It comes down to Stafford just wanted to be a Ram. He didn't want to move. He wanted to stay on a contender, and I think it looks a lot better PR-wise for the New York Giants to lose out on the Matthew Stafford sweepstakes to the Rams. Him just wanting to return, stay home with them, because if you would have lost out on Matthew Stafford because he wanted to go play for the Raiders, that's the ultimate indictment on the status of the New York Giants in 2025. I never really loved the idea of paying Matthew Stafford the big bucks. I feel like I've made that abundantly clear over the past couple of weeks. Really, the only reason outside him still being a top 10 quarterback in this league that I was interested in him was because he had a cap hit of just $27 million this year and a cap hit of $31 million the following year. I was willing to guarantee those deals. Doesn't sound like that was nearly enough. And the Giants, they miss out for him. Now what do? What rock are the New York Giants now going to turn over to try to find their next quarterback? Well, Adam Schefter, he's tweeting this out. With Matthew Stafford remaining with the Rams, the New York Giants are investigating all veteran quarterback options, including Aaron Rodgers. And Dianna Russini, she says this. The New York Giants are now shifting their interest to Aaron Rodgers. So you missed out on him there. There was also a report out there that I wanted to talk about as well. Jonathan Jones, who covers the NFL for CBS, saying since being informed of his release from the Jets, Aaron Rodgers has made calls on behalf of himself to teams to gauge interest in him. Multiple calls have been made to the New York Football Giants. That's why you subscribe to the channel, though. We did a video 2 days ago about Aaron Rodgers. We did a video 2 weeks ago about Aaron Rodgers, kind of hinting that the New York Giants were interested in him. That's why you subscribe. I want to go back to this quote from Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, about what he had to say about the Giants and Aaron Rodgers. There was talk at the Combine on Tuesday that Rodgers has reached out to the Giants. Usually we don't traffic in things we've heard. Cough, cough, lie, lie. Because we hear plenty of things that might or might not be true. The way I heard this specific thing, however, leads me to believe it's more likely than not true. And that Jonathan Jones tweet we just referenced, I think puts some validity to this report from Pro Football Talk, saying multiple calls have been made to the Giants from Aaron Rodgers in his camp. There's a lot to unpack here between Rodgers, the New York Giants, and what they're going to do. But I keep going back to this quote from Joe Schoen, saying, I'm for taking swings at QB. Even though he didn't draft one in 2022 or 2023 or 2024, I do think the Giants and Joe Schoen are extremely motivated to add a legit quarterback to this team. Not saying Aaron Rodgers is legit anymore, but I know Joe Schoen knows that his job is on the line, and if he does not get a quarterback that can win games now and or in the future, he is going to be in real trouble. This is what Joe said about finding that next quarterback.
Yeah, and where we are, Tommy DeVito is our only quarterback on the roster, so you may evaluate both of those. Those both may be options. So, again, we don't know what's going to happen in the draft. We don't know who's going to be there. When we get around these kids, they may or may not be a fit for us. So, we're going to have to address the position somewhere. And even if you get a young quarterback, you'd like to have a vet, in the room with them to show them the ropes and how to be a pro. So, we're looking at all different avenues. It's, hey, is this guy going to be really good for a young quarterback, or is this guy a starter? Or can we get a guy in the draft? Or if we do, should we have a guy that's more of a guy that can develop and show a guy how to be a pro? So, we're going to look at vets, we're going to look at the draft, we're going to look at trade candidates, we're going to look at under every rock to, find the best prospect for us going into the 25 season.
I'll say this much. Joe Schoen wants to take a swing. He is swinging for the fences if he goes out and he tries to make a move for Aaron Rodgers. Is it a good swing? Is it a bad swing? We'll continue to talk on that. I wanted to reference again a quote from Mike Florio we broke down on the channel where he said it's unclear whether the Giants would be interested in Rodgers. Yes, he could be better than other options they'll have, especially if he'll take less cash in order to stick it a little bit or a lot to the Jets, who didn't want to keep him. But Giants fans who witnessed his 2 years with the other team in town might not be interested in signing up for a year or two with a guy whose star is beginning to fade. I thought it was interesting that Rodgers made it clear what he is looking for in a new team. He said he wants to play for a good team, and he wants to be wanted. Do the New York Giants want him? And are the New York Giants a good football team? We all bleed Giants blue and red. I'm not so sure I'm willing to poke my neck out there that far and say they are a good football team. This tells me, though, that the market for Rodgers is not all that strong. There's probably not a lot of good teams out there that want him. And really the only teams that probably want him are guys that are unsure if a quarterback are going to fall to them in the NFL draft, like the Raiders and like the Giants, two teams that were all in on Matthew Stafford. It all comes down to the dollars. Dollar bills, y'all. What are the Giants going to pay a guy like Aaron Rodgers? What does Aaron Rodgers want to be paid? Could it be a similar situation to Russell Wilson last year with the Steelers, where he was willing to play on a veteran minimum because he had so much guaranteed money coming his way from Denver? Rodgers, he's been paid a lot throughout his career. He has money coming from the Jets. I don't know. I don't think I'm willing to pay Aaron Rodgers a boatload of cash. And when you talk about who Rodgers is at this point in his career, he's an average at best quarterback. I do think he started to find his stride as the season went on. I do think he started to play a lot better, and you could see that. In the first 8 games of the season, he threw 12 touchdowns and 7 picks, had a completion percentage that's just 61.6%. In the last 9 games, when he got his buddy Davante Adams in there, completed 64% of his balls over the last 9 games, throwing for 16 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions. He got better as the year went on. Was that due to Davante Adams getting there? Absolutely. I also think he got more and more healthy coming off from that Achilles injury that he had a year and a half ago when he got back to the final 9 games of the season. And when you talk about Aaron Rodgers being a free agent, Giants are absolutely going to show interest in him, and they're absolutely going to show interest in all of the free agent quarterbacks out there. The veteran quarterbacks in the free agency class are just not all that strong. And they need to ask themselves this question. What are we looking for in a bridge quarterback? I think it comes down to 4 major things the Giants should look at. The ability to win games in 2025. Joe Schoen made it clear. He said he wants to add a quarterback that he thinks can win the most games. He already missed out on Stafford. Is that now Aaron Rodgers? You also need a guy that can maximize Malik Neighbors. I don't want to waste a year of Malik Neighbors' prime. He needs to be targeted almost 200 times next year. If you can't get Leak the ball, you can't play for the New York Football Giants. You should also want a bridge quarterback that's going to bring some culture, some leadership, and a winning way to the New York Giants. Does Aaron Rodgers check those boxes? And you also need to be able to mentor and help a young QB grow. I was anti-drafting a quarterback 3 if you trade for Stafford, but if you go out and you sign Aaron Rodgers, you should still absolutely pick a quarterback at number 3 if Shedeur and or Cam Ward is still there. The guys out there on the market right now at the free agent quarterback spot, they're not all that attractive. You see a guy like Sam Darnold. Are the Giants going to pay him $40 million? Does Joe Schoen want to hitch his career as a general manager to Daniel Jones and then Sam Darnold? I'm kind of out on Justin Fields. I just don't really see the point. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. And everybody thinks they're getting him for cheap. And if I think I'm getting him for cheap, and you think you're getting him for cheap, and they think they're getting him for cheap, he ain't going to be cheap. Do you want Aaron Rodgers or do you want Russell Wilson? That's a conversation we're going to start having on this channel more and more. Jameis Winston would be fun, but it would also be a pain in the neck. He'd throw for 30 touchdowns. He might also throw for 40 interceptions. He can get neighbors the ball. He could be a leader. I don't know. Zach Wilson, Giants aren't in a spot for him right now. Mac Jones has some ties to Brian Dable due to their Alabama days. Marcus Mariota, I'm interested in. Garoppolo, not a chance. Drew Lock, I love you, but I hate you for the Week 17 win over the Colts. Like, of the guys there, Aaron Rodgers might be the one that could win them the most games and be the best value contract. I guarantee the Giants sign a quarterback in free agency. Not putting my neck too far out there, but it's going to happen. I want to close with this. With the Giants not making a move for Matt Stafford, and kind of just things I'm hearing at the Combine and putting pieces together, their number one thing they wanted to do is trade for Stafford. And if they don't trade for Stafford, I have been told they are going to do everything they possibly can to trade up to the number one overall pick. And as they should. Joe Schoen has no leeway to not find a quarterback. And he can't afford to sit on his hands and hope one falls to him at the third overall pick. The only way Joe Schoen keeps his job into 2026 is, A, if the Giants win more games than they're supposed to, or B, he picks the quarterback that at the end of the season gives a feeling universally to everybody in the Giants building that he is the franchise guy. And your best bet to do that is to trade up to number one and pick the guy you have the strongest gut feeling about. My question to you is, if they do trade up to number one, who should it be? Should they select Cam Ward? Should they select Shedeur Sanders? Type C for Cam, type S for Shedeur. And make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG. The first place you would have heard about Stafford going back to the Rams and the Giants being in on Aaron Rodgers is on my social media. So give me a follow, @MarshallGreen_. Hit that thumbs up icon, subscribe, and let's go Big Blue.